Thunderstruck, baby. Happy Friday, everybody. Trump heading off. Going to make 2 stops today, going to California and stopping in North Carolina after the awful. The storms, look, they happen. We know that. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Ireland's going to hit with a storm they've never had before. I think they're getting a red flag warning. It's the only time they've ever had it. Northern Ireland's going to get hit with it. I mean, you know, storms happen, people. Reaction to the storms, that's where leaders are found. And let's be real, under Biden, there was none of that at all. But I want to talk about, do you guys remember, I mean, let's go back because there's lots of conspiracy theories. Do you remember Hawaii when it caught fire? And, it was the Jews with their space lasers. I've heard remember that? Remember all the stuff you heard, right? Who else was it? Oprah and The Rock burned it down so they could build new stuff. That was a good one.
Harvey Weinstein was using it as a distraction.
That's it. All that stuff. 18 months ago that happened. They've built 3 homes. 3 homes. That's all they've built back. 3 homes. People, think about Katrina. Think about so many other ones where, I mean, some of you have texted me, oh, yeah, I was at Katrina, and now I live here. I mean, that's what happens. You think of us and you think of America and you think of all of the stuff, the things we have, the power we have, who we are, what we're about. We can do anything. Hell, the Amish build a barn in 5 minutes and then they move it. These things, you think, what the hell happened? Bureaucracy. That's what happens. Bureaucracy is what happens. The fact that we're not as prepared as we think we are for situations, and that you've got to do it yourself, that is being shown out all over the place. Southern California, North Carolina, parts of Tennessee, Florida. What did Florida do? We're not going to need you. We're going to handle our own business. We've been through this a lot. That's what gave Florida a bit of an edge, too, is they had been through it a lot. Well, there wasn't flooding like there was in North Carolina. Go and look and see what took place in California. That was a full operator error, right? 100% on them. And you were going to stop all of it, but you could have prevented some of it. And nature will always do what nature does. And you'll learn that on this show, is nature is going to do nature. And at some point in time, if nature decides that it wants to destroy all of your stuff and my stuff and everybody else's stuff, it's going to do that. But it's about the reaction. That's where leaders come from, the reaction.
Maybe we just need to tell fire and hurricanes and earthquakes that they need to bend the knee to big government.
Maybe. Actually, if we started to ask what kind of impact, environmental impact that they're going to have, the hurricanes, right? So they got to go fill out paperwork, right? Then they've got to they can't just come here. They got to do all this stuff. But all kidding aside, these people in North Carolina, if you think that's going to get built back up anytime soon, no. And California, oh, forget about it. If you think, and Hawaii, they've got some regulations, but there are people out there 3 years on, they're still living in hotels and trailers, or they've moved off the island. I mean, that's what you're going to find in a lot of these places. It's up to us, period. Great that the government can help some, but at the end of the day, we are responsible for ourselves. So we can do some stuff, and the government needs to do some stuff, but we still need to be, we're our brother's keeper, not the government. A lot of stuff to get to today. We're going to do the Razzies later. If you don't know what the Razzies are, how would you describe these, Bell?
They are the antimatter Oscars. So if an Oscar says you're the best in your field, the Razzies say, hey, you sucked.
Yes. And that's not just kind of suck. I have seen some of these. The Razzies are usually the kind of movies that everybody sees, right? Like the Oscars are usually for the she and the ooh kind of things. The Razzies are the movies where like, oh, yeah, I saw it. It was awesome. They blew a bunch of stuff up, like things like that. But every once in a while, you get a stinker. And this was the year where every one of these movies was awful.
What I love about the the whole Joker thing, too, is Gaga was sitting in her agent's office, and he's going, it's another musical. Is this going to be Star is Born Part 2?
Yeah.
You've got to do this movie.
Yeah, that was never going to happen. That was just, it was so bad. So bad. I mean, Mason, who just left, kind of a comic book guy, likes that stuff. He said, dude, it was the worst movie ever. Like, it was so awful. You have no idea. And that right there, you're going to have fun with when you, because some of you may have seen a few of these movies, but I will tell you what, there is one movie in particular, and I've said this my entire life. If you're willing to make it, I am willing to watch it. And this movie I watched, and it was arguably the worst movie I've ever seen with a budget.
Which one?
Madam Web.
Oh, yeah, trash.
Yeah, just.
And it's so far removed from what the actual comic book character was about. In the comic book, she was an old blind woman.
Yeah. No, this is.
And in the movie, she's Dakota Johnson sucking.
Yeah, you know what? That might be the best thing that you, as far as description that you can give to this. She was so awful. And I don't care if, who was it? Was her dad Sonny?
It was
Crockett.
Don Johnson.
Yeah, Don Johnson.
So
was
Crockett,
he?
yeah.
He was Crockett. All right, there you go. There you go, kids. He was Crockett.
Yeah, because Tubbs was the other guy.
Yes, that's right. Meanwhile, yesterday, they took down a whole bunch of folk raids across the country. And people are excited about that. By the way, they were pretty much kind of what goes on. ICE goes out in raids every day. I don't think people understand that they go out every day. The difference is because Trump is now in charge, that every ICE person is now automatically elevated to a stormtrooper, right? A Nazi, part of the SS Wildfire. That's exactly what they are now. And the cameras go out with them because they're going to go catch him, and they're going to catch and they're going to catch this person and that person. This person's good, and that person's good. And oh my goodness, and all you're doing is just taking grandma off the street. That's not what happens. They are the ones who do the work that Biden administration ignored. Because they're looking for serious criminals. And talk about serious criminals. There are some serious ones, for sure. One of the ones, obviously, we touched on a little bit yesterday, that guy from Haiti. 17 times he had been convicted. Not one, not two, 17. For a myriad of things. It's insane. Top of that.
Wait a minute, he was convicted in this country?
Yeah, he had 17 convictions. So, of stuff. And, of course,
that's mind-numbing.
Yeah. So, on top of that, they go out, and they're picking up all kinds of people. MS-13 members. Guys who are wanted by Interpol, who, by the way, not just us. Interpol's got red flags out on people going, hey, this guy over here is a bad dude. He's wanted for murder. This person's over here, he's wanted for this. In other countries, they ignored.
Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral. Except
here's the thing. That guy wasn't collateral. So that wasn't like you go into somebody's house and there's 12 people there and you 7 of them are wanted. They've got, everything from active warrants to orders removed. And then you take out the other people who also don't have documentation and any of that stuff. And they're not supposed to be there. You found out that guy that, quote unquote, was collateral. He had orders to be removed again because he had already escaped from the place we sent him last time after we arrested him and deported him, and he came right back. But these are not new. It's the ramp up that is going to come that, because a lot of people are like, well, this look at Trump, he's already out there doing this. These were already being done. So media, before you freak out and like, which they are, oh my God, they're already doing it. Before you do all of that, these were things that were scheduled for a while. They've been looking. They've done this a lot. I think a lot of people thought, well, they just sit around all day and do nothing because Trump won't let them. I mean, not Trump, Biden wouldn't let them. No, they're out there doing their job. But we focus a lot at the border. Very rarely do we focus on what happens on the inside of the country once they leave the border.
And that is exactly what Border Czar Tom Homan has warned would happen.
When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that are in the United States illegally. They may not be a criminal priority, but we're not walking away from them.
ICE Boston says they will continue to go into sanctuary jurisdictions and do their job.
Today was a good day. Today we took several significant public safety threats out of our communities. Unfortunately, a lot were released by sanctuary policies, but we're here to tell the Commonwealth and the rest of the country that we're going to find them whether they're released or not.
Good. And that's what you should do. Absolutely 100%. And the watching, because I was talking to a couple of my buddies again who are Border Patrol agents. I'm trying to get one of them to come on next week. Little nervous about the being exposed, doesn't want to get in trouble. And I said, dude, we're going to protect your identity and everything, so you don't have to worry about that. But as we were chatting about this, he says, it's funny, when Biden was president, we basically didn't do a damn thing. We couldn't. And now that Trump's president, the way that people are really excited or they really hate us. He goes, when Biden was president, just last week, they'd look at you and think, sad. Oh, that's sad. You can't really do anything. Yeah, absolutely is. Oh, my God, what a day. So much stuff to get to, including, do you know what Herkle-Durkling is? Anybody? Anybody know what a Herkle-Durkle is?
Is it any relation to Googly Moogly?
Yeah, no, Googly Moogly. No. Everybody, we need to Herkle-Durkle. We're going to talk a bit about that. Everybody needs to Herkle-Durkle every once in a while because it's important for us as humans to Herkle-Durkle. I know that sounds bizarre, but it is something that's been around a while. And when you hear it, you go, oh, yeah, I know exactly what that is. I've done that before. But it's got a Scottish name. So we'll do that. But talk a little bit more about the shooting in Antioch, the fact that the kid didn't leave crumbs. He left flares. He sent up smoke signals. He had a plane with a banner on it. He tweeted out people. Am I right there, Ken?
Yep.
I mean, this kid had left, short of telling everybody, calling them, going, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. The fact that this went unnoticed, there's some splaining to do. And another kid fell through the cracks that had serious issues, full of hate for himself and the rest of the world, wanted to take it out on everybody. And how did nobody notice? How did nobody notice? I think it's a real damn good question. That includes school as well as parents, and not just people who had a class with him. That and so much more today. Oh, my Lord. What a Friday. Power-packed of fun, baby. It's the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital, you need a risk review. 2025 is here. The whole thing about investing is, and I've always told people this, is no cookie cutter. That's not what you are. You are you. I don't care if you want to retire on an island, have a nice little drink out of a coconut, or maybe go out and start that business you've always dreamed of from that hobby you've done for years. You want to get to that place. How do you do it? Well, it's about designing something for you, and that's what Bulwark wants to do. They want to go through your 401k. They want to go through your retirement, take a look at it, tell you where maybe you're lacking a little bit, where maybe you're exposed, especially in a marketplace that feels like it's overbought. That's what they want to do, and it's not going to cost anything. Next week, next Thursday, they're having a free live webinar. They're going to show you all kinds of stuff, and the worst case scenario, it's like a 30-minute thing. You leave learning a bunch. Why not give it a try? You can sign up today at knowyourriskradio.com. That is KNOW, yourriskradio.com. Or you can get a second opinion by calling 866-779-RISK today. 866-779-RISK. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not a guarantee. Past performance, not guarantee future results. Trek 24378.
Drivers, we've got a crash in Antioch. It is blocking the left lane, 24 eastbound, just past Haywood Lane. Target is joining the likes of Meta, Walmart, and McDonald's, and President Trump is pledging more funds for Hurricane Helene relief and an executive order that overhauls or gets rid of FEMA. All this and more at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We woke up at 6:30, bright and early, and we drove out from Capitol Hill, and seeing them was so cool. They're huge. They're way bigger than I thought.
They're pandas, and they're back.
You guys, Ron Burgundy?
Yeah, remember when the pandas, do you remember when we got rid of the pandas? We're like, we have to send them back. China wants them back. I'm like, so what? What are they going to do? What if we tell them no?
Right.
What if we say no?
They might bomb the zoo. Sorry, I couldn't even get that out with a straight face.
What if we go, hey, they called, they want the pandas back. So? Well, they're going to come take them. How? They're not getting in here. They're our pandas.
They're going to float a balloon, and it's going to go all the way across the United States.
Down, pick them up. And you know what? I would have said, okay, do what they do over there. Because have you ever seen when they fake like they have a lion and it's a big one of those big fluffy dogs and they try to make it look like it's a lion? Yeah,
a chow chow.
Yeah, just all you got to do is let's get one of those and we'll just paint it black and white and send it back over. What are they going to do? No, I don't think so.
Man, I tell you, those pandas, they look cute. They'll rip you apart, man.
They're a freaking bear.
They're bears.
Exactly. But they look so freaking cute. And I know you guys have seen the videos where someone will try to reach through the cage, to pet them. And all it takes is one paw with those 12-inch claws, and that dude is regretful.
I freaking love when animals destroy humans based on their stupidity.
Exactly.
I mean, it sucks. Like, you're in the ocean. You know the risk. Something could happen. You're more likely to drown. But, yes, if you're in the ocean, in certain parts of the world, there is a chance that another big fish will come and get you.
Yep.
Okay, that happens. You're out in the woods. There's a chance stuff could happen. Great. But if you try to touch something that you know it's not a teddy bear. It's not. It's like people, that's what I tell everybody. Guess what? Polar bears are not the Diet Coke bear, you idiots. They actively hunt human beings. But people are stupid. What's that movie that came out, about 15 years ago about the guy that went and lived with the grizzly bears?
Yes. Oh, I know exactly. And he got killed by them.
Yes.
And then it was caught on audio.
And he brought his girlfriend.
Yes.
Yes. And the people that took him up
Mr.
there.
Bear. I love you, Mr. Bear. It's okay. Yeah. We're friends, Mr. Bear. Now, what are you doing, Mr. Bear?
What are you doing? The people that go to Yellowstone, I'm going to pet the moose, right? And then the moose stabs him. And everybody's like, oh, the tragedy. Yeah. Poor moose.
Hey, 3618 brings up a good point. If those bears were here, they're citizens.
They are.
They were born here. They're citizens.
That's right.
China can't have them back.
Absolutely right. Panda personhood.
That dude's name was Timothy Treadwell.
God.
I'll never forget watching that show or that documentary.
I remember because they used to have to fly him in, right?
Yeah.
And they flew him in, and they took his girlfriend one time, and the guy's like, man, I felt bad for her because, because he was kind of special. Like he was special, like wearing a helmet special. And then I don't, look, and there's weird things, right? Like if you look through history, I don't know if you guys ever know who the Crocodile Man was. You ever know who that guy was?
Crocodile Hunter?
No, there was a guy named the Crocodile Man. He was in the Philippines. He rescued a crocodile that was caught up in some net, had some stuff, and he rescued it. And it followed him home, and he took it back he got it to go back in the water. It stayed with him until the day it died.
That's interesting.
And it would not leave his side. He could lay on it. He could do it. It was just every once in a while. It's weird. I saw something the other day on the TikTok, kids. A lady frees a mountain lion from a bear trap or something. And so it's like her and her husband, they get like a trash can and they put it up against it and she frees him. And the cat kind of slowly looks back, takes off. And the next thing you know, it follows her home later on. Then it's now just in her house all the time. It jumps through the window, hangs out with him all the time. It's weird. But you know what? If she went to pet him before the savior of the foot, it would have killed her.
Oh, yeah.
You idiots. I do like panda bears, though. You ever seen one?
Not up close, not in person.
At San Diego, I went there, and I got to go backstage and look at them. And it's funny because the zoo people are like, these are like the dumbest bears in the world. Like we have to go and put things in certain areas because they will kill themselves otherwise. They're horrible at climbing, but they try to climb anything. There he goes. We have to basically baby-proof their thing. And if you ever watch them in the wild or even on videos, they fall over all the time out of nowhere. They're idiots.
Yeah, by the way, they're smaller than the American black bear.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Well, of course, because our bears are badass and
our
big.
bears, man. Yeah.
We've got the grizzly bear, right?
Kodiak.
The Kodiak.
We got polar bears.
Have you ever seen a Pizzly bear?
Never seen a Pizzly bear.
So once in a great while, a polar bear and a grizzly bear will come across and they will mate, and it's called a Pizzly bear. And if you thought about the worst thing that you could ever see in your dreams, welcome to the Pizzly bear.
It is not the bear version of a labradoodle.
No, it is not. It is not.
Man, those polar bears, I don't know if people realize just how big they are. They weigh tons.
Yeah. They hunt seals. Yeah. Like, that's their, I'm going to go get me one of these. But they do hunt people.
Oh, man.
There's a few animals on the planet, crocodiles, gators, and grizzly bears will actively hunt human beings.
And it's not their choice. It is just their instinct. That's the thing people don't realize. Yeah. It's like in Yellowstone, when somebody tries to go pet a buffalo, they will gore you.
Which to me is that's a Darwin Award winner right there.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
If you're that dumb, it's okay to remove you from the gene pool.
I'm glad it happened to you. I hope we got it on camera. I hope we got it on. I hope we got. Nancy, was that fun, Nancy? Huh? Was that? You can go back to Buffalo now, you idiot. Coming up, a lot of stuff. We're going to do some fun stuff. Little Razzies. If you don't know what the Razzies are, people, be prepared because I've got some trailers of the worst movies of the year. This is actually an award show. They give out a real award, and every once in a while, stars will show up. We're going to have fun with this straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and this crash on 24 is causing problems not just eastbound, but westbound, too. It is a big backup both directions. The left two lanes are blocked, 24 eastbound just past Haywood Lane. But a lot of folks, I guess, stopping to look at it. So we got about a 48-minute delay there on 24 at Haywood Lane. Another major corporation slowing its roll on diversity, equality, and inclusivity policies. Target sending a memo to employees this morning stating it will end its 3-year DEI goals. They're going to stop reporting to external groups like the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index. Target's going to end a program focused on carrying more products from black or minority-owned businesses. Target joining other major companies like Walmart, Meta, and McDonald's in this announcement. President Trump visiting Hurricane Helene victims in North Carolina says he's going to be signing an executive order to overhaul FEMA or get rid of it altogether. And that's not all.
Do you expect to ask Congress for additional aid for North Carolina and California?
It will be direct. In other words, the aid will go through us. So rather than going through FEMA, it will go through us. And I think maybe this is a good place to start. Because, and in all fairness to the governor, and in all fairness to everybody else, FEMA was not on the ball.
Now the president and first lady on their way to California. They're going to visit with wildfire victims. There's a call for Metro Nashville Public Schools Director Dr. Adrian Battle to step down in the wake of the Antioch High School shooting. Former MNPS board member Fran Bush telling WTN's Nashville's Morning News Dr. Battle should have used COVID relief funds to purchase metal detectors.
Well, she is not an elected official. She was hired by the school board. So it would be up to the school board to fire her.
Former school board member Bush says the equipment was not purchased because Dr. Battle believed they produced what she called unintended consequences. You can hear that entire conversation with Fran Bush on the Dan Mandis podcast. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yesterday, the Oscar nominations came out. I don't usually watch Oscar movies. Every once in a while, one slips through that you see, but normally they're made not for, I'm a dude, right? Like, I like stuff. I want to see stuff get blown up. I love ninjas.
I think the last Oscar winner I went out of my way to actually see was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Is that what it was called?
Is that the one with Michelle Yeoh or whatever?
Yeah, and it's got Short Round.
Yeah, you can jump in between like dimensions and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that won Best Picture was a sci-fi movie. It was rare times that ever happens.
Yeah, very much so. But, because you just don't get them. And normally Oscar movies, last year, I knew that, Oppenheimer was going to be great, right? Like, that's something that interests me. The powerful cast, the way that they did what they did was incredible.
And Nolan is completely incompetent when it comes to making terrible movies.
Yeah.
The man is he doesn't know how.
No, and sometimes he makes movies that are very confusing, and you have to go see him 47 times to figure out exactly what's going on. I think that's his jam. But Oppenheimer was great. So you get some of those. But mostly it's crap. You're like, I have no idea what that is. Like this year, Emilia Perez or whatever it is, it cost $30 million. It's made 10, whatever. But you and I and everybody listening now, we're people. We're dudes. We're ladies, right? We're just part of the world that is the regular folk. We like popcorn, explosions, a little comedy, a little romance. And every once in a while, those movies suck to the critics, but they're hilarious. And they usually win Razzies.
There will be no opposition. There will be no criticism. For in this realm, bad is good.
Joe Biden ad?
Dumb is smart. And entertainment is the ultimate distraction. The masses will be lulled by spectacle. Their minds shaped by illusions. While the truth of it all fades into oblivion. Welcome to our 45th Razzie nominations.
Hey, one thing I just noticed that might make you want to change one of your votes is Jon Voight won last year for Worst Actor.
Oh, God, he is just cleaning
And
it
you
up.
picked him for Worst Actor this year.
Oh, I might have to. I don't know if you win. Well, you know what?
No, you did. That was who your pick was, but he won last year. They may give him a break this year.
What's his name? Tom Hanks won back-to-back years. He won he won for Philadelphia, and then he won for...
That was a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, he won for Philadelphia. No, he didn't win this. He won actual Oscars.
No, I'm talking about Razzies, though. You picked Jon Voight to win the Razzie for Best Actor this year, and last year he won the Razzie for Worst Actor. So
it's and these are the worst movies, by the way, people. So get ready for them. So I might, although if you've not seen some of these movies, if you want to laugh, they're so bad. And by the way, I think most of these people were pretty serious about the movies they were making. They didn't set out to make a crapper, but they did. So let's start with the movies, shall we? Where should we start? Oh, how about this one? So Francis Ford Coppola, this was supposed to be his jam. So this guy he put together this movie. This was something he had thought about for years, for decades. He funded a lot of this movie himself. It's called Megalopolis.
For the future of our family, I will build a city that people can dream about.
Megalopolis.
That man is a megalomaniac.
What is it like being rich?
You can scare people. You're gonna have to prove yourself.
We are going up, and they are going down.
We are taking our city back.
The alligators had the right idea. They eat their young.
It's horrible. It is a movie that is way too long, but listen to who stars in it. Aubrey Plaza, Adam Driver, Shia LaBeouf, Jon Voight. It goes on and on. These are superstars. It cost $120 million of his own money, essentially. It made $13 million.
He's probably going to George Lucas going, how did you fund your own stuff and not go broke?
I am fascinated by somebody who would do that. I get taking a chance.
Especially on yourself.
Yes, but my goodness. I mean, he put up, I think, a portion of his winery.
Whoops.
Yeah, so now somebody owns a bit of that wine. Now the bank owns a winery thanks to your crappy movie, sir.
Yes.
All right, on to the next movie, a movie that should have been better. I'll be honest, I looked at it, I saw the trailer, I've seen bits and pieces of it. Reagan.
There's nothing a retired governor can do. But a president, now he can do a thing or two.
You know what you have to do.
This summer, it's morning in America again.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I didn't like him as Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid sounded like somebody who was trying to do a Reagan impersonation. And it just didn't come off right. He was also way thinner than Reagan. Reagan was a big dude. He wasn't fat, but he was big. That didn't come over well either. It just wasn't. It felt like a very bad B movie. So that's Reagan. Now on to this one that was another stinker. And by the way, you and I both loved the director, Eli Roth. This was a video game called Borderlands. They turned it into a movie that was awful.
Brave vault hunters. You've come in search of the secret lost vault of Pandora.
You ready to kick some ass?
Okay, let's go.
Hey.
What the door? I don't want to.
It's pink.
It's in my mouth.
How are we gonna get through this?
Horrible. Best way to describe that? Too campy, not. And I'm good. It's good being overdone and stuff, but it just was awful.
I was wrong about Voight. He won for worst actor last year. This year he's nominated for supporting actor.
Okay, shoo. So because I got him as the worst actor, but this movie was fun if you were at home and it was on TV and you have to pay a penny for it. But if you had to pay a penny for it, this thing was awful. Lost about $100 million. That is not good. On to now the two favorites to win this thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the one that I believe will win it, even though I think the next one should be the winner, the Joker.
Arthur, do you remember any of what happened?
Arthur Fleck is a monster.
You should see it out there. They're all going crazy for you. We did this.
That's all, folks. That's about the only time he's not singing in the movie. I don't know who thought that was a great idea. I don't know who thought outside the box. Let's make him sing. But awful. So awful. Have you seen Tim Dillon, a comedian? He was in the movie. He was at Arkham, and he and the other actors were over there, and they're in their outfits, and they're watching it being filmed before they do their part, and they'd been in a few other scenes. And he said they turned to each other and goes, "This is going to be the worst movie ever made." It was. Now, finally, and Belle, I want you to listen to this because you are going to hear the worst acting ever. The movie's called Madam Web.
A week ago, I spent my life racing against time, trying to save people who were running out of it. Until one moment changed everything.
Come on! Welcome back to the land of the living.
New York City is a whole new level of crazy these days.
I've seen that man before. He was in the Amazon with my mom, Ezekiel Sims. I think he can see into the future. You want to live, you have to trust me.
It's crap. It's the worst movie. I saw it. It was on Netflix. And I thought, it's a Saturday. I'm sitting around. We had just moved here. And it was on Netflix, and everybody was gone. And we had a beanbag chair and the television because we'd only been here like a day or two. And I said, I'm going to watch it. I would have rather driven back to California to pick up a shoe that I left than watch that movie again. Dakota Johnson is awful at acting. She needs to quit, and she needs to apologize to everybody who saw it. Did you watch it, Belle? Did you ever see it?
No, not the entirety of it.
You didn't have to.
I'm a big comic book guy too. I used to collect extensively, and to see what these people are putting on the screen sometimes versus where they're getting the source material.
Yeah.
It's two different stories. I don't have time for it.
You didn't have time for it. So it is the worst movie I've ever seen. Like of a real movie. Like I've seen a lot of crappy fun movies that cost $150,000 and somebody had an idea. I'm like, yeah, let's watch it. Like I watched Blood and Honey, the Winnie the Pooh movie. I thought, man, for $100,000, you guys did a pretty damn good job. This movie was so awful, and I don't think she knows how to act. She doesn't. She's horrible. And the movie, I have no idea. She has no powers outside of like she can like deja vu. She doesn't shoot webs. She doesn't do anything. There's no monster. It's stupid. I hate you.
So you gotta let this. You gotta stop holding back, man. You gotta let it go. Let it get out there.
All right, let's go through our picks for the worst of the worst. So for me, I picked Madam Web. You went with?
I went with Joker just because it's so heavily trashed that I think the Razzies will want to continue that theme.
Now, here's where you might get a little conservative world. For actor, I put Zachary Levi, who plays he's Shazam, but he's in the Cran movie. It's kind of funny, and it's not the worst, and he's not really a great actor anyways, but he's also very conservative. He's very outspoken for Trump, so I have a feeling he's going to win this one. You went with?
Dennis Quaid.
Another conservative.
Yeah.
For actress, I went Dakota Johnson.
Jennifer Lopez, because Jennifer Lopez is just not a good actress. She can probably give Dakota a run for her money and suck.
That's Jenny from the block, dude.
Hey, I know where she's from. I'm trying to send her back there.
She was great in Selena. She was great in Selena. She basically played herself.
I saw the ending of that movie coming from a mile away, though.
Well, because that's what happened in the movie. That's what happened in real life.
Kidding.
I went with Emma Roberts for supporting actress because she was in that horrible movie.
I voted for Amy Schumer because she deserves it.
Yeah. I went with Francis Ford Coppola for worst director.
Eli Roth.
Oh, sucks. Joaquin Phoenix for the
screen combo is
screen combo.
Joaquin and Gaga, and I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah. The Crow for the worst prequel, sequel, or whatever crap they came
Rip
up
off.
with. Yeah.
That's actually in the title. It's like worst sequel, prequel, or rip off.
And the worst screenplay was The Joker.
You picked Joker. I picked Craven. But as far no, that was for screenplay prequel. We both picked Crow.
Yeah. And then you picked Craven for the worst screenplay. So if you guys want to watch crappy movies, here's the other thing. If you go to Razzies.com, you can sign up as $40 for the year. You get a vote, and sometimes these people show up at the Razzies to accept their awards. They have fun with it.
I think Halle Berry accepted one.
So
for
did
Catwoman,
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock. So, I would go if I was nominated, but I'm not. So not yet, but it may happen. You never know.
It's a great marketing opportunity if you have a sense of humor about yourself.
And you got it, man. You're going to make some clunkers in life. That's exactly what's going to happen. And you got to be able to laugh about it and realize, it's not digging a ditch. A lot of other stuff to come to. Yes, we'll get to some politics. Settle down, people. This is not how we live our life. We are normal folk, talk about normal stuff, including politics. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Go there now. Use my code Chad. You're going to get a free $20 jumpstart trial of Rough Greens, the powder supplement that you give your dog and your cat. They've got Meow Greens and Rough Greens. They've got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega 3, 6, 9. They get fruits and vegetables. Green, healthy. Brown, not so much. Your dog and cat's food, for the most part, most of you listening, it's shelf stable. It's not healthy. It says it's healthy, but it's not as healthy as you think it is. This is going to help make it healthier. It's going to give them more nutrients. It's going to have more energy. It's going to help with their skin, their fur. It's going to help big time with their aches and pains in their joints. And right now, you can try a Jumpstart trial bag for free. $20 value. All they ask you to do, cover the cost of shipping. It is that simple. ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad. Ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad.
Boy, that crash on 24 eastbound is backing up both directions for miles. It is blocking the left 2 lanes there at Haywood Lane, but again, you've got east and westbound 24 backed up. It's an hour delay right now. Marilyn Manson is off the hook, and a mayor in New Jersey speaking out against deportations in his city. These stories and more coming up at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Don't tell me that we now have to entirely leave it in the hands of states or cities to actually resolve these problems. It is the responsibility of the federal government. So if there is a way to expedite response in these events, we should take that on.
That is the lady's upset about FEMA and wants FEMA to be more involved. I know Trump is looking at certain things as he tours. He's on his way now to California to go out there. And you know, it's great, too, because he's going to meet with all the people, and it'll be good. It's a good thing because, you know, Trump always talks about how he and Gavin get along. And, you know, for Trump, it's all a show, right? How can I get over on you? How can I better you? All of that stuff. But FEMA's got some splaining to do, yes. The problem was, and it continues to be with FEMA, which is FEMA is not the end-all to be-all. So I said when I started the show today, we've got to be more responsible for ourselves and help our you know, be our brother's keeper in some ways. FEMA's going to come in and do some stuff, but to think that they're going to make you whole just isn't going to happen. It isn't. And I think a lot of people think, well, they should make us whole. They should do this. You can't sit around and wait. You can't. People in Maui. So remember, 18 months ago, houses, except for the ones with the blue roofs, I know, they burned down in Maui. 3 houses have been built since then. 3. Some stuff's not even been taken away in certain areas. If you leave it to the government, you're going to get a government response, which is going to be long, drawn out, not going to make you whole, frustrate you. Yes, you work with them, but you've got to be responsible. And they were not great in this situation when it came to North Carolina.
FEMA has been a very big disappointment. They cost a tremendous amount of money. It's very bureaucratic, and it's very slow.
And in a world where we want expediency, when we want stuff instantaneously, whether it be our news, whether it be our food, whether it be any of those things, to think that you're going to sit there and potentially live in a hotel or some sort of trailer after your house has been destroyed in a place nowhere near there, you're going to be there forever and a day. And that's the frustrating part. And there needs to be, you know, we want instantaneous. It just ain't going to happen, especially in certain disaster situations where everybody around you is facing the same thing. You know, I was talking to my wife last night because, Chris Pratt's house didn't burn down in California. And I said to her, I said, you know what? I would rather my house burn down. I don't want to be the one person on the street that lives there by themselves for the next 5 years before they even start to build something.
Tom Hanks had fire prevention built into his home. First off, it's like concrete blocks.
Yeah.
And he made a decision based on where the house was located, what it was made of, and its potential for burning down. House is completely fine because he made strong choices. Everybody's around him burned down. He has another house higher up the mountain that burned down, and Jennifer Aniston, her $21 million mansion is fine because she did the exact same thing. Plus, when the fire started, she called a private fire department and paid for it to keep it from getting to her house.
Probably Barack Obama. If you guys haven't heard that, maybe we'll talk about that next hour. The love affair between the two. Could it be Barack and Jennifer Aniston? No. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk more about this. Also, the shooter in Antioch. How did so many people miss what took place? A bunch of other stuff to get to. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
1 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And pack your patience, drivers, if you're on I-24 south of Nashville. It is a 1-hour delay, both east and westbound, due to a crash eastbound blocking the left 2 lanes right there at Haywood Lane. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Rocker Marilyn Manson won't be charged after a long investigation of sexual assault allegations. The Los Angeles County DA said they are too old under the law, and the evidence is not sufficient to charge the 56-year-old shock rocker, whose legal name is Brian Warner. And the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, speaking out against an ICE raid in his city, saying targeted people at a business establishment, including veterans. Mayor Ras Baraka, claiming he's been getting heated, hateful messages, too.
None of these people were rapists or murderers or criminals. The problem with it is that ICE went in there without a warrant.
Well, President Trump went to North Carolina to visit with Hurricane Helene victims and get a recovery briefing today. Said he's considering signing an executive order getting rid of FEMA.
And we're looking at the whole concept of FEMA. I like, frankly, the concept when North Carolina gets hit, the governor takes care of it. When Florida gets hit, the governor takes care of it, meaning the state takes care of it. To have a group of people come in from an area that don't even know where they're going in order to solve immediately a problem is something that never worked for me.
Trump and the First Lady now on the way to California. They're going to visit with wildfire victims. Here in Nashville, officials say there was a series of failures before the shooting at Antioch High School this week.
The safety system failed. Investigators say the Omni Alert weapons detection system installed at Antioch High School did not detect Solomon Henderson's weapon when he pulled it out to kill a 16-year-old student in the cafeteria this week. And there were no metal detectors either. It's something that former school board member Fran Bush says is inexcusable.
Let me tell you something. We had $400 million of ESSER funds, and that's the funding that came down from the federal government during COVID. We had an opportunity at that time, looking at those funds, that safety equipment could be an option of purchasing to protect our schools.
But that equipment wasn't purchased, she says, because School Superintendent Adrienne Battle believed they produced what she calls unintended consequences. Bush is calling for Battle to step down. You can hear the entire conversation with Fran Bush on the Dan Mandis Show podcast. Joan Jones, WTN News.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Let me tell you something. We're sitting here talking about the disasters that have happened. Imagine having a place like United Structural Systems around to help you and to get going immediately. And you understand having somebody who's been in business 30 years, over 30,000 five-star reviews. This is a company that people trust for a reason because they're there always. They can prevent things from getting really, really, really bad, like mold, wood rot. You know what I'm talking about? You don't want to have something go so south that they're like, it went from a Band-Aid, right, to essentially we got to do surgery. They will come out. They're going to give you a free inspection. Here's the other great thing. They're not going to push into something crazy like, you need to do this and tear this up. That's not who they are. They're there to help, and they guaranteed their best. Call them today. Tell them I sent you. 615-488-7855. Whether it's foundation, whether you've got a crack with some water, whatever it is, they can help you out. 615-488-7855 or online at USSTN.com. The media freaking out. Trump's going to get rid of FEMA. What will we do? How about we take some of that money and give it to the states and allow them to do certain things? He's out, North Carolina, off to California. California is going to be $300-400 billion. States, here's the thing about states. It's where you live. We talk about Trump and we talk about, all these people. What happens in your neighborhood, what happens in your city council, your schools, in the state itself, has a bigger impact on our life. Not even close. Not even close. The federal government is supposed to be around. It's not supposed to be it. And that includes saving the day. They're supposed to save the day when there's a war. Like, that's their job. When it comes to immigration, and we've talked a lot about that, that's some of these things that are outlined. The parameters are like, this is what you guys do. The rest of it is us. And FEMA should help in some ways. But I think a lot of people think they're going to ride in and fix everything and make everybody whole. That isn't going to happen. And California, well, we don't have to like it. I still have family there. In fact, my good buddy, I talked to him earlier today, the Hughes fire, which is a new fire, is about, he said, 5 miles from his house. Luckily, it's right next to the Castaic Reservoir and stuff, so they're not worried about that. But he's like, I'm a little bit worried. And I said, I get it, man. He goes, just because it's incompetence. But California, you got to do what California does. Tennessee, we got to do what we do. We know what's best for us. And it's not about not having a working relationship in that sense with the feds. It's about having that state, having the people around, having the people know what's best for this area. Because when the feds get involved, it's usually something so big and everybody wants to be ushered to the front and have something taken care of. We've been talking about it since the beginning of the show. Maui, 18 months, houses all burnt down. No, it wasn't space lasers. No, it wasn't, The Rock and
it was Jewish space lasers.
Jewish space lasers. I forgot about those. It was none of those things. But that being said, you're not going to make whole the memories. You're not going to make whole trees and things that have been there for God knows how. That stuff just isn't going to happen. But 18 months on, 3 houses. That's all they've built. That is all they've built. So while everybody runs around and goes, oh, my God, Trump's going to get rid of FEMA, maybe there's a better way to do things. People who freak out about it are people who want the government to be their keeper. They want FEMA to come in and be the end-all to be-all. That ain't going to happen. You trust me, you don't want government. Was Reagan, 8 scariest words? I'm from the government. I'm here to help. They should be seen every once in a while, very rarely heard. But you want to know they're around in case of an emergency. And for a place like North Carolina, California, I understand that. But at the end of the day, California is going to know what's best for California in the wacky world that they live in. North Carolina is going to know better what to do with their world and how to get it up and running faster. And for us, if we have something, we're going to know what's best for us. Doesn't mean we don't have some working relationship. But the number one working relationship is it's got to be us. It is. California and quite frankly, even Florida and several other places have made it so difficult for certain businesses to do anything in their states that they're choosing not to. And then people are basically going, well, I don't have anything. My house burned down. All I now have is a piece of land and some dirt, and ash. Well, that's not really their fault. It's the fact that the state that they're in has made it so ridiculously difficult in some cases to do their jobs. The other part of it is we continue to build homes in certain places that aren't ready to take the natural disaster that may come. And you know stuff is coming. And you continue to build there. When I look at Florida, if you build on the beach, don't be surprised if a hurricane hit you. If I park a car on the train track, at some point, a train's going to come by.
Oh, now you're just being silly.
Maybe I am. So, we'll see. That is funny, though, because
I was walking down the interstate, and suddenly this car comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, look, if I'm sitting here right now and a train comes through here, because there is stuff that will happen every once in a while that's so insane, that is so crazy, right, that is so just that, you can't even begin. And that's why North Carolina is different than what took place in that's the same smash of Helena all the way through parts of Florida. Florida's used to it. They're used to it. Right? Like we were talking last hour, Tom Hanks, they had the means. Jennifer Aniston, they had the means. They had the means to protect themselves, and they built houses that cost a little bit more, but was done in such a way that they could withstand things that the other homes couldn't. And yes, they're blessed, but again, California's going to know, hey, we're going to have to do some stuff here and require certain things to build in this area that may cost a little bit more money. And to do so, though, it is going to keep these homes from being destroyed. Okay, that's them. They know what's best for them. Give the money to the states and allow them to work it, because you know what it's about when it comes to your states. Tonight, will they or won't they be a Pete Hegseth vote?
Department of Defense nominee Pete Hegseth set to face his confirmation vote tonight, but it comes as Republican support has started to chip away. 2 female Republican senators declaring they won't support him. President Donald Trump responding.
I was very surprised that Collins and Murkowski would do that.
Despite this, Hegseth still has the votes he needs to be confirmed. It would take 4 Republicans to block the nomination.
They don't have it. Will it be Pete getting through? I think Pete will get through. I think of all the ones I look at now, Tulsi is the one that I think is the wobbliest. I think definitely on the wobble side. But we'll find out because they're going to get their hearings next week. And then, Kash Patel, Tulsi, and RFK Jr. are going to have their hearings. I think they start next Wednesday or Thursday. Pete, though, has been embattled. But when I listen to people, look, did he have a drinking problem at one time? Maybe. I don't know. Some people say yes. Some people say no.
Bush admitted he did. That didn't disqualify him for the presidency. Did it?
No. He also did he did some bumps as well. He did a little coke.
You know what his Secret Service name was?
What?
The Tumbler. It was his Secret Service name when his father was president, but they called him the Tumbler because he was always drunk.
Forgot. Remember how big of a deal it was when Clinton said he didn't inhale, and it was like he said he smoked weed, kind of, sort of.
I did a big lung of it, but it didn't go up my nostril. I promise.
And George Bush was like, "Man, I did so much cocaine."
I was going to go to Vietnam, but then I found a baggie.
Good God.
I didn't inhale.
Oh, my Lord. You remember that?
Oh, yes.
And that was a big deal.
Big deal, dude.
That was a huge deal on MTV's like, I don't know if I'd smoke pot. I mean, I sleep with a bunch of co-eds, but I don't know if I'd smoke. I did try smoke pot one time, but I didn't inhale. And
it's like going, I did heroin, but I didn't inject it.
Yeah.
Or snort it. Yeah. Or take it internally.
I mean, but Bush came out. He's like, oh, man, I was like, you guys got some coca? Little yayo? I was hanging out with George W. I was hanging out with W. And it was like freaking hanging out with Pablo Escobar.
Yum, yum. White Lotus.
White Lotus. Oh, my Lord, people. So, Pete, I think he's going to get through. And again, so he had a drinking problem one time. If he did, by the way, because many people said he didn't have any drinking problem. Other people. I don't know if he did. He said he's human. He makes mistakes. Don't we all? And I think there needs to be a moratorium. If I was president, maybe you guys can text the show. I'd like to hear from you. You get one thing that you can change, all right? You can get rid of, and it's one thing. And it's got to be something. It can't be something like, I'm going to, so-and-so can do that. It's got to be something real. Like for me, I would say this, 5 or 10 year moratorium. After 5 or 10 years, you can't bring something up ever again. So if you were like Bell's playing a video game and he's 15 or 16, he says something horrible to somebody, right? That would totally be like, oh my God, you can't bring that up when he's 24. It doesn't count. If you had a drinking problem 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and you can't bring that up anymore. There's a moratorium on something like that.
Yeah, when it's past tense, obviously there should be.
There should be.
That's like going, well, you were in jail for 10 years, so we're still just going to pretend like you're in jail. No. I did my time. I corrected my actions, my efforts.
Exactly. Last year, here's a perfect example. There was a guy who made his Major League Baseball debut. I think it was last year before last. Essentially, on the way to the mound, somebody tweeted something who went to school with him in high school, and it was in a game of like a really, Halo or something, and said that he, called somebody, a gay slur or used the N-word. And you waited till then to do that? There's only one reason for that, because you were trying to get back at him. And that's just stupid. So I think we need to have a moratorium on stuff like that. No doubt about that. We got a lot of stuff still. I want to talk a bit about the raids. But the flights have begun, people.
The Department of Homeland Security routinely has deportation flights, so we're not sure yet whether there's actually more people being deported than usual, but they definitely look different. These flights look different because now they are using military aircraft and getting support from the Pentagon to do them.
Which is, this is kind of what they wanted, right? But the raids that you've seen over the last couple of days, those things have gone on even when Biden was here. Those raids have gone on for a while. The thing is, it's going to ramp up now like we haven't seen before, which is what people want. And the people they caught yesterday that we're talking about awful people who've committed crimes in other countries like murder and rape, and also have committed crimes here and even been convicted in some cases. So, when people freak out about that, find out who it is that you're trying to protect and what a wonderful human beings they are. Because in many cases, what they see is the color of someone's skin. They victimize that person and say the white people, the colonizers, the evil Trump administration is once again doing it to somebody. Those people are bad. Bad, by the way, doesn't care what color you are if you're going to be bad. Just put that out there. Coming up, talk a little bit about the shooting as everybody tries to figure out how it happened and what we could have done different and how we spent money. And as usual, missing a lot of the point. We'll do that straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. Gold is so good to have as an event that could go sideways. And the next thing you know, you're thinking, inflation's crushing my portfolio, my retirement. All this stuff is going sideways. We've got debt. Oh, my goodness, the dollar's weakened. If you've got gold, guess what? It's like having a little parachute right there. And it is great to have some. Birch wants you to get the ultimate guide to gold in the Trump era. It's not going to cost you anything. Forward done by Donald Trump Jr. On top of that, they're going to get you out an investor kit, show you what they're all about, simple and easy. All you have to do is text the word Benson to 98 9898 today. They'll get that out to you. There's no high-pressure sales, none of that stuff. They'll talk about how you can even switch over your IRA and 401k with a gold-back IRA or 401k without having to worry about paying fees or anything like that. It's just a great way to protect yourself. Do it today, right? Don't wait before it's too late. Text the word Benson to 989898. That is Benson, Benson, to 989898.
All right, drivers, that is an hour delay if you are east or westbound I-24 at Haywood Lane. The problem is a crash blocking the left 2 lanes going eastbound, but of course that's impacting westbound too. We got the day's top stories coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We can disagree about whether you support mass deportation or not. But what we must agree on is that the thing that separates this country from many other countries around the world is the Constitution of the United States.
Absolutely. It's Mayor of New Jersey right there.
Please clap.
Yes, I know. That was so great. It was Jeb Bush, right?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, guys. Please clap. Low energy Jeb. That was the end of any chance he ever had of being a public life again.
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody going to laugh at my jokes?
That was it, man.
That's a mayor of New Jersey who's upset about what's going on. And yes, were there some people that were held in a raid? A raid. Yeah. And if, let's just say for the sake of argument, a bunch of people came to my house, right? We're hanging out. And they come because some of these people were drug dealers. I didn't know about it. They come into my house and they kick in the door. They take us all into custody. That's what would happen, right? They weren't looking specifically for me. They followed them there. They came in, and then they released me because I didn't have anything to do with it. Or Bell wasn't the drug dealer they thought he was. Or was he?
Yes, I am. I mean, never mind.
So they act like they did some sort of weird disservice to the people that they questioned. No, they didn't. They were looking for people, specific people. They're not going down the street going, hey, the lady down the street, she makes great tamales at Christmas. Let's get her. She's been here for 24 years. She's got a kid. She doesn't bug anybody, but she's the one on our radar. It is so stupid. It's so disingenuous. You're such liars.
Well, and he takes issue with what he says was a veteran who was asked to present his ID. And then, of course, he's a citizen. So I said, okay, you're cool. But they've got to do that. They've got to ask for ID.
They're not going to just go, hey, he showed us an ID. He's a veteran and a citizen. Let's deport him too. Yeah. It is so ridiculous. So disingenuous. And I point out to you guys, because I know some of you are like, because I said it earlier, these raids have gone on forever. These aren't brand new. These raids have been planned even before Trump got into office. The raids are ramping up. There's no doubt about that. But what they did yesterday when they went to Boston and the only reason the cameras were there is because Trump's in office.
Yep.
That's it. They're not there for any other reason. Those things, if Kamala would have won, that would have still went on because they have a job to do. And the people they are searching for, they're not listening to politics. They're coming after people they have what they call, was it a red notice from Interpol? These are serious criminals. That was going to go on anyways. But because Trump's there, it becomes a story because he's talked tough and he's going to do this. And it is so disingenuous. And if you look at the numbers, based on the latest poll, right and left want people that have criminal records, have been charged with crimes here, who are here illegally, deported. It's closer. It's a really close when it comes to separation of families. But when it comes to crimes, there is no close, like, well, only 51% of people want them deported. No, it's a big deal. It's not hard. Common sense isn't common. But one thing I love to remind my friends out there on the left, the people they're going after right now, as the low-hanging fruit, as I call it, some of them, they've committed serious crimes, not just here, but elsewhere. Some of them have committed crimes here, been charged and released on numerous occasions. And a vast majority, if not all of those crimes, are committed against people that are in the same situation. They've applied for asylum. They're trying to keep their head down. They're trying to do everything they can to survive. They're not bad people, but they're here illegally. And those people know it. So they hold them hostage the most because they know they're terrified to call the authorities. And it's sick. And those same people, those liberals, oh, we need to protect everybody. No, we don't. We don't need to protect everybody. And the other thing I continue to say, I've got a couple friends that I have known who, they're here illegally. They're in California. And by the way, they're not Mexicans. No, they're Brits, actually. They came over here on vacation like 30 years ago and never left. But they've always told me, I know the risk. One day they could knock on my door, and that's that. It's possible. Absolutely possible. And a lot of people understand that. Coming up, a lot of stuff when it comes to Antioch I want to talk about, because this whole insanity of like, well, we could have used COVID money on this and we could have done that when it comes to the shooter. How about get ahead of it? He didn't just leave crumbs for people to search for. Talk about that, bunch of other things. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And again, drivers got about an hour delay due to a crash on I-24 eastbound at Haywood Lane, but it's also backing up westbound. You've got the two left lanes blocked going eastbound, but that's also impacting the westbound lanes there at Harding Place on 24. Advocates against abortion participating in the March for Life rally today in D.C. This is Vice President J.D. Vance addressing the crowd.
I want more babies in the United States of America.
And the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, speaking out against what he says was an immigration, customs, and enforcement raid in his city.
One person showed their military veteran identification and was still questioned anyway. People were fingerprinted. Pictures of their IDs and face were taken.
That's Mayor Ross Baraka, who says the agents conducting the raids without a warrant. President Trump and the First Lady on their way to California to meet with victims of the devastating wildfires. Here's Alex Stone.
The Los Angeles region is going from weeks of extreme fire warnings, which just expired today, to now a winter weather advisory and the threat of rain and snow this weekend. It likely won't be much rain, but even a little could trigger mudslides and debris flows in the recent burn areas because the ground is bare and fragile, unable to absorb water, and there's so much ash and debris that could move. Sandbags and concrete barriers are being put into place to prevent deadly mudslides.
President and First Lady first visited Hurricane Helene victims in North Carolina today, with Trump telling reporters he will ask Congress for more disaster relief for them, and he vowed to overhaul or get rid of FEMA through executive action. And the U.S. Senate to vote tonight on President Trump's pick for defense secretary, while two Republicans break away at the last minute, Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, but it's going to take 4 Republicans to deny Pete Hegseth's nomination. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Retirement Ready Toolkit. Everybody needs one. Recent presidential election has most of us wondering, how will we be affected? Money, investments, even your retirement. Many of you out there worry about that. Well, you're not alone. With Beacon, they're local. You can go see them. They can take you through steps on how to be positioned regardless of what happens, because you can make money going up and down. And one of the things I've always said in life is you can't make money if you lose money. Here's the thing. If you're nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has a free Retirement Ready Toolkit just for you. You'll get enough money as you're going to get. It's called Money Enough for Life. It's a book about retirement planning, checklist, maximizing your retirement income, white paper. Beauty of it is no cost, no obligation, and zero pressure. I want you to call them today and talk to them about what they can do for you. 615-488-9303 to get your free Retirement Ready Toolkit. That's 615-488-9303, 615-488-9303 for Beacon Capital Management. Finding out more and more about the shooter in Antioch High School the other day. Now they're thinking that maybe was in contact with the Wisconsin school shooter from, was that December, early December? That Natalie, God, I'm going to screw up her name. Natalie Samantha Rumpnow, the 17-year-old, apparently may have had some sort of, I don't know if it was on Discord or some of these other things, but it sounds like there was a possibility that they could have talked. Here's the thing, and it's frustrating, and we've talked about it here. Parenting is very important. Where's the parents? Where are the people that are with this kid, not at lunch at school, that have a passing, hey, what's going on? Not much. Hope all is well with you. No. Where are the people that should have been noticing, not the crumbs he was leaving, but the boulders? He sent up flares. He did everything short of calling everybody on the day. He gave everybody a ton of information that he was spiraling out of control. And I know what they're saying. Well, we could have took COVID money for this or that. That would not have stopped this. If this kid wanted to kill a bunch of people, by the sounds of it, that was his goal. Showing up there with a gun, which the AI didn't pick up on until the cops came. They picked up on their guns. But showing up there with a gun, having a teacher or whoever stand there in the metal detector, that's not going to stop somebody unless you had an SRO there. And even at that point in time, are you expecting a kid just to blast away? Did the cops know about him? Went to his house, took some guns a couple years ago. What? Yeah. Said he blamed it on his dad, and they bought it. I mean, this kid had issues. A box cutter brought to school. In a time in this country when we allow zero tolerance. Have you noticed how many kids get away with certain things? Because we've decided now at schools, it's not about any kind of strict, honest conversations of reality with kids or with parents. It's about fluffiness. It's about not punishing. It's about not holding accountable. It's about so many other things. It is, you go talk to teachers. I'm sure some of you are teachers or have been. Kids nowadays, undisciplined, not worried about a damn thing. They don't care because they know they're not really not going to be punished. And the kids who do get punished, it's always something usually so stupid. But why? Why didn't they do anything preemptively? I mean, the minute in most schools nowadays, you bring a box cutter, you bring a knife, you do something like that, you are probably not coming back to that school. It doesn't mean he couldn't have come back and done something. See covenant. But we have this conversation, unfortunately, it seems to be once every 6 weeks. And we say the same thing every time. How many signs were missed? How many signs were missed when it was 3 years ago and this person said this, this, and this? Or it was 6 months ago when they did this, this, and this? How many times do we talk about that? Too damn many. Too many. You want to know how to prevent this, and you're not going to prevent it all. I said it yesterday. Matt said it as well. We live in a free country. And because of the freedoms we have, that includes us being able to carry guns, us being able to be armed, us. There's a certain risk that people aren't well or people mean to do evil will also do something because they're allowed to get a hold of something even though we don't want them to. And sometimes they spin out of control. Sometimes they buy it illegally. But If you want to prevent more of these, that's earlier with parenting. That's earlier with schools trying to figure out and catch on to when kids are starting to struggle. Because you can't tell me that nobody knew. Nobody paid attention. And I'm not really, again, school may be one thing. We'll find some of that stuff out down the road. But what about family? Haven't heard a lot. I mean, really? What about aunts, uncles, people that were close to him? What about anybody? If we want to prevent these things, again, fully is never going to happen. So if you think we want to get to zero, this isn't going to happen. But if we want to get to the point where it is really, really negligible compared to what we're seeing nowadays, because he killed one, then he killed himself. But how many kids out there are doing other things to themselves, harming themselves, because they're crying out for help and people aren't paying attention? That's the thing. People are missing stuff over and over. And yes, sometimes people can hide it and disguise it. There's no doubt about that. All of us are, as adults, we can look back at times when we weren't great, but we disguised certain things to our parents. But you know what? Did they know more? Probably. Maybe they didn't want to deal with it. But if I went off the rails, oh, my mom would have caught it in a second. Off the rails like this, absolutely. So if we want to get it to the point where we mitigate a vast majority of these things and the damage they're done, it's going to have to be much earlier. You know, yesterday I saw where we talked a bit about this, that, you know, we as a nation, we don't get together anymore. We don't. We have our heads down on our phones. We rarely spend time together anymore. There isn't the things that we used to have, right? The knowing the neighbors. I live in a building. I don't know any of my neighbors. I don't even see any of my neighbors. Now, we're at a portion of the building where we may not have neighbors, but even when I go outside, when I say hi to people, rarely do I get a hello back. Rarely. If I make eye contact, if I make eye contact, it's very rare. We are so absolutely disassociated from one another. It is scary. And we need to get back to human contact. It doesn't mean let's get rid of it. It's not an all or nothing thing. But we've got to get back to a lot of things that includes family, that includes knowing what's going on in kids' lives. And we can't expect school to fix everything. And we can't expect teachers to not be able to discipline and or have a say in certain things. And when a kid freaks out, we look around and go, wonder what happened. No, we've got to be able to be honest with a lot of things. And it includes the fact that in many cases like this, the signs were there, and we'll say it again in 6 weeks when something horrific happens. And we'll say it again in 3 months when something, well, the signs were there. The signs were there, but they were missed. But they were missed. And as horrible as the phrase is anymore, you know, thoughts and prayers, worse is, well, the signs were there, but they were missed. That's even worse. Ugh. You text the program. I love hearing from every single one of you. Yesterday, as we move on, he did it. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. That's right. The President of the United States, JFK, RFK, MLK.
Tom Samoluk, who serves on the board of directors at the JFK Library, says he reviewed all classified documents years ago. He tells our station in Boston the records will not reveal any smoking gun. There will be some puzzle pieces that will be put back in that will tell a more robust and rich story. Lee Harvey Oswald was identified as the sole gunman, but conspiracies abound. A former Secret Service agent with Kennedy at the time wrote a memoir in 2023 saying he found a bullet in the back of Kennedy's car but forgot until recently. His account challenges the government's finding that a single bullet hit both Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally.
You've been challenged. So all the people that I've read and who are experts when it comes to JFK thinks that there'll be some puzzle pieces put together, but the gun of smoking super conspiracy isn't going to be there the way that people think. That, yes, maybe they knew a little bit more, but not as much as maybe everybody thinks they know, and then maybe, just maybe, it's Occam's razor. The fastest line, the fastest way to get there is just a straight line, trying to figure out as we squiggle around everything. And that means the thing that explains it is this. Could be wrong, could be knew a little bit more, absolutely. I have a feeling that we're going to find out the CIA knew a few things, and we're following them, and that maybe there was a mess up. It'll be more embarrassing than anything else. The one that should be, and I think they have 15 days, if I read it right yesterday, to release those. They have 45 days to release MLK and RFK's stuff. The MLK stuff, Martin Luther King, that is the one where I think that the FBI, people are going to look at them in a much different way.
As for the MLK assassination, those documents could reveal more about allegations the FBI was complicit in his killing. The Justice Department determined James Earl Ray acted alone, but a congressional investigation found the years-long surveillance on King by FBI agents in order to undermine the civil rights leader was probably a felony.
Probably a felony. So when people out there say, how dare Trump demonize, or the people on the right demonize the FBI? Go back and look at the history of the FBI and what they have done, how they've treated ordinary citizens, how they've treated extraordinary citizens, how they have gone and tried to undermine people, how they have spied and done things that, like they said, rises to the level of a felony. And I think of all the things we're going to find out of these, I'm not quite sure about the, Robert Kennedy one. But the MLK one is, to me, the one that's going to be very eye-opening and embarrassing even more so. And somebody asked earlier why they remain closed for so long. They remain closed for so long, especially when it came to the JFK one, because CIA, some people could have been exposed, outed, kind of stuff. And so usually when they release stuff like this, it's when everybody's gone. The CIA is arguing right now that you can't release this because one of them is still alive. He's 1,000 years old. He's not an asset anymore. So let's get that right. He's not an asset. He's a 1,000-year-old man who I think he's in his mid 80s or 90s. What is he doing? He's not skulking around doing stuff. So just release it and let's find out what it is. And for the people who believe that the CIA was involved, you're going to say this. Let me put it out there so you don't have to text me. And somebody said, well, the smoking gun's been destroyed. Well, yeah, I think there's always that possibility. There is. 100%. If you believe that the government killed Kennedy, you're always going to believe that. So you just keep that. For the rest of us, let's see what's in this. So 15 days for JFK, and I think it's 45 days for the rest. So we'll find that out. Chad, why are there so many people named James Earl? I have no idea. Must have been very popular. Why are there so many people where you have to pronounce their first and middle name? That's usually when you know you're in trouble. When they say your first and middle, you're in a lot of trouble there. A bunch of stuff still to get to, some stuff we messed up on. Yeah, when it came to Reagan, I said 8 words, and it was 9, and I'm an idiot for that. I just want to put that out there. So I'm sorry I got that wrong, people. So feel free to hate on me if you want. Because, boy, people love to point stuff out all day long. Airline changes. Some interesting stuff. If you're going to fly Spirit, wait till you hear this. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad to get the best supplement in the world for your animal. If you're like me and you want your animals to be healthy and happy, Rough Greens is it. the food that you buy your animal, they call it shelf stable, right? You know, you get in the store and it could be like, oh, this stuff is great. It's got all this great stuff in it. It's going to keep your dog healthy and happy. That stuff's meant to live on a shelf. So brown, not healthy. Green is. And Rough Greens provides vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this incredible stuff that is packed into an amazing supplement that a scoop on top of your dog or cat's food, because they got Meow Greens, is going to help them with everything from their coat, right? You know, like my dog's coats are great. Their skin, their fur is just, I mean, my cat, wow, just awesome, as well as energy levels, aches and pains in their joints, and so much more. Now, they've got a Jumpstart trial bag for you. It's a $20 value. All they want you to do is cover the cost of shipping. It's a few bucks. They'll send it out to you. You put them to the test. That's simple. You can do this by going to roughgreens.com using code CHAD. RUFFgreens.com. Use code CHAD. You cover the cost of shipping and get a $20 value Jumpstart trial bag for free from Rough Greens.
Traffic is a mess, drivers. We've got a crash on the right shoulder, 65 southbound. That's going to be right there at I-24. Now we've got a 73-minute delay if you are 24 east or westbound at Haywood Lane because of a crash in the eastbound lanes, blocking the left 2 lanes. Vice President J.D. Vance at the March for Life rally, that is, and a mayor in New Jersey complaining about what he calls ICE raids in his city. Coming up at 2 on Super Talking 99.7 WTN.
I saw Matt the trucker in here. What's Matt's trucker name? He's got to have a new trucker name.
Greg Evigan.
What? What?
BJ and the Bear.
Oh. It was just been out of nowhere. I'm like,
I was getting ready to say.
That wasn't out of nowhere, baby. That was stored in the back of the mind, waiting for the opportunity.
Milt Tumbleweed, what are you doing? How's it going,
BJ
man?
and the Bear.
I love that BJ and the Bear. We were just talking a little bit about Andy Ogles and his insanity last night. I saw it when Chris.
What's up with him wanting Obama to have a third term? I don't understand it.
So I was laughing. I'm like, what? And this is what I reminded a bunch of people, because I saw Harry Sisson, who's this Democratic stooge. Everybody's shaking their head. You know, he's this kid who gets blasted all the time because he's just he's a pretend moron liberal kid. He goes out and starts talking about it. Right? If you go look at Andy Ogles' tweets, all the MAGA folks, all the Republican folks are blasting him about how ridiculous this is. That's not what we want. That's not what this is about. He is not a king, and none of that stuff. And by the way, Trump doesn't. At some point, I hate to do this to you people, but his the biggest risk he has right now is the actuary table.
Does Andy not understand that we're under a new form of government? We've had a dictatorship since Monday. We were promised this for years, and we're finally excited that it's here.
He's just such a clown. You know, I on my national show, I rarely do I have politicians on. The reason is simple, because sometimes you get to know them. They can be nice, but you're going to have to blast them. And because they deserve to be blasted at times. And this guy, I'm glad that he's, you know, that he's getting blasted by everybody, because he should be. And he's just so, Matt was right. He's like, dude, he's performative. He's an idiot. Like, that's the best way to describe this move, right? Like, who are you doing this for?
Himself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope you got what you got out of it, that you think that was going to change the world for you, outside of the fact that everybody on the right and left thinks you're now an idiot because you are that's what I'm talking about. If you miss any of the show, we say...
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. A reminder, driver, that is now an 84-minute delay east and westbound 24 there at Haywood Lane. You've got a crash blocking the left 2 lanes eastbound there, but it's spilled over to the westbound lanes too. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Advocates against abortion in the March for Life rally today in Washington. Vice President Vance, one of the politicians addressing the crowd.
We need a culture that celebrates life at all stages, one that recognizes and truly believes that the benchmark of national success is not our GDP number or our stock market, but whether people feel that they can raise thriving and healthy families in our country.
Counter-protesters were expected to hold their own demonstration outside the Supreme Court. The mayor of Newark, New Jersey, speaking out against what he calls an ICE raid in his city.
Some ICE agents raided a business in our city without a warrant. They went in the back of the establishment. We believe that there were 3 people who they say were undocumented that they detained, but they also detained folks that were, in fact, citizens of this country.
Now, that's Mayor Ross Baraka, who said even U.S. citizens, including a veteran, were, as he put it, targeted. President Trump and the First Lady on their way to California to meet with victims of the devastating wildfires.
In an abrupt switch, Southern California is going from red flag fire warnings, fire danger warnings, and wind warnings expiring today to a winter weather advisory for rain and snow in the mountains. It won't be a ton of rain, but enough that there are worries in the recent wildfire burn zones because the ground is so charred that it cannot absorb water. It's prone to mudslides and debris flows. Free sandbags are available, and concrete barriers are being put into place to divert water and mud.
Now, the President and First Lady first visited Hurricane Helene victims in North Carolina today, where Trump told reporters he'll ask Congress for more disaster relief for them. And then he vowed to overhaul or get rid of FEMA through executive action. U.S. Senate will vote tonight on President Trump's pick for defense secretary, while two Republicans have broken away at the last minute, Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, but it's going to take 4 Republicans to block Pete Hegseth's nomination. President Trump confirmed that he has ended the security details of key former officials who have faced threats. This is Stephen Portnoy.
The president acknowledges he has canceled the security details of several former government officials.
You can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you worked for government.
This week, Trump has ended protections for former National Security Advisor John Bolton, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and former infectious disease chief Dr. Anthony Fauci.
You know, they all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security, too.
Trump is himself a victim of 2 assassination attempts, and he's entitled by law to lifetime Secret Service protection.
Entertainment news. Marilyn Manson won't be charged after a long investigation of sexual assault allegations. The Los Angeles County DA said the allegations are too old under the law and the evidence not sufficient to charge the 56-year-old rocker whose legal name is Brian Warner. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I see you rocking out back there.
Yes, sir.
I find it funny that, so Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
He, by the way, he was not in the Wonder Years. I just want to remind everybody. That guy was in the Wonder Years.
No, he wasn't.
Remember that? Like, that's one of those weird urban legends. that he was in the Wonder Years.
That would have been something.
But the damage is done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know? I mean, the damage is done. And
remember, it's not about what you did. It's about what you're accused of.
Yeah, because nobody sticks around to find out what the end of the story looks like.
That's right.
Nobody does. I mean, we have the attention span of a gnat. I go back to Armie Hammer, who I'm trying to get on our show here. If you guys don't know who he is, he was...
The Lone Ranger. The Cannibal Lone Ranger.
The Cannibal Lone Ranger. So, and one of the heirs, if you will, to the Armie Hammer thing. I don't even know what's left of it anymore. But he, the guy was in tons of movies, right? He was in Entourage. And he got accused. He was in the Tonto movie where he played the Lone Ranger. That's where Johnny Depp stole the whole movie. That whole
Johnny
movie.
Depp was the star. Let's just admit it.
It is. He just wanted to say weird things and run around with that crow, dead crow or parrot or whatever he had on his head.
Yeah.
I continue to say this. Johnny Depp only does movies so he could dress up.
I would agree with that. I think those Sauvage commercials are just another excuse for him to dress up.
They were just at his house. They're like, hey, we want to take you outside in the desert. Oh, that'd be great, man. We're going to just
my wolves are back there.
Yeah, I got some wolves. I got a guitar. And, hey, look, I brought my scorpion.
Wait, let me go grab my amp.
Sauvage.
Really quickly, can I say something? If I'm texting you back on the text line and I hit you with the Taylor Swift boom gif, that means that you had a great comment, and that's my way of acknowledging your great comment is with my Taylor Swift boom gif.
Oh, yeah. Or the Nazi thing.
No. That was just a photo. This is a gif of her doing the hashtag thing on her crotch.
What did it was hilarious. What did Elon Musk tweet today?
That he's sick of seeing Nazi salutes in his timeline and that the algorithm sucked.
Because it's his company.
He said that he tweeted out, I'm so tired of seeing Nazi salutes. This algorithm sucks.
Oh, God, that is spectacular. He's you know what's funny? For somebody who, he doesn't laugh much at all. He's an odd kind of bird. He's autistic. There's no doubt he's been touched on the spectrum. And my buddy worked with him in the early days of Tesla, and they said they would come in at like 4 or 5 in the morning to start their day, and he would be under somebody's desk snoozing. And you're like, what are you doing? And yes, my buddy made a ton of money because he got stock, because that was a smart thing to do. But he's just, it's funny what kind of sense of humor he has for not being super funny in person. He's just awkward. Even watching him dance the other night when he came up on stage, he was like, whoa, look at me, woo. Several people chiming in about the shooter. What else do we know anything new, Ken, outside of, they took guns and a few other things? Do we know anything new?
That's the new part, that in 2023, apparently 2 guns were taken from his home at some point at school. At one point, he was caught carrying a box cutter around with him. So he had a troubled past, with apparently, some run-ins with law enforcement.
Yeah.
But that's the latest.
And people are chiming in about, like, well, did they not discipline him because he was black? There's a thing called restorative justice. It was a big thing on the West Coast for a while. It started there because all wacky things start in California and Portland. You know what? We always talk about California. Never forget Portland and Seattle are as nutty as California. If it's on the left coast, it's there for a reason. Oh, some of those places may be beautiful, but restorative justice is the way it is in school is kids who are minority groups are overpunished and white kids are underpunished. And so the restorative justice is rather than punish the kids, try to do certain things that would endear you to them and to I understand a bit of the thought because kids need that opportunity and they don't always need to be punished. That being said, if you can't punish and you have no authority to have authority in your classroom or in your school, they're going to run roughshod on you. Now, this is a school of 2,000 people. How well did anybody know? I don't know. I mean, there are like you said, sometimes people leave you crumbs. Like you're like, oh, a little bit of crumb here, a little bit of crumb. I saw some stuff. I didn't really think much of it. Other times, people leave boulders. This kid left everything you could think of. And we still know very little outside of that. And I'm sure we'll find out more. But the restorative justice thing, I don't think that played a part in any of this. I don't. I don't think it played a part in any of this, partially because the school was very diverse. Right, so it wasn't like he was the only kid of color in the school, and he got overpunished. It wasn't like that. So I don't think that played a part. And usually that's a wacky, crazy California thing, and left coast thing in New York and Chicago. So I don't think that played a part in it. And I don't think not buying the right equipment when it comes to a metal detector played that big of a part as well. Because I don't care how good it is. If somebody wants to do something, they're going to do it. It's identifying it long before it's going to happen and then looking out for that person as much as you possibly can. But we all know if somebody wants to do something horrific, it is hard to stop them. The guy in New Orleans, that guy, you want to talk about a lone wolf? Like, he seemed to get radicalized rather fast, and nobody really knew much. They said he got weird. He pulled away, little depressed, that kind of stuff. But it was quick. This wasn't quick. There were all kinds of issues. And at a time when we have zero tolerance for a lot of things, you would think once he brings a box cutter to school, that'd be that. But alas, it wasn't. And here we are, talking about something that, like I said, we'll talk about again in 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And what will we be talking about? Unfortunately. Oh, there was crumbs. There was boulders. There was all kinds of stuff. It's unfortunate because everybody's missing those things. And think about all the times, too, that it's not just a kid who hurts and kills and does something else, but what about the kids that hurt themselves or kill themselves? How many crumbs, how many things did they do? How many times did people push it off as, and it's because our communication skills as far as with each other is virtually nil. And the paying attention to things. I mean, how many people are involved in their kids' life the way they should be? I mean, we are missing out on so much. And it's not going to stop somebody from doing something horrible. And by that I mean, if there's 100 kids that are bound to do something horrible, whether to themselves or to other people, if you get to them and you could stop one, great. But if you could stop 50 or more, that's awesome. But there are still going to be people that have designs to do evil things. And I don't know if it's a issue that is, like we've talked about even with depression, is something missing, is something not firing, is something that is happening in people's brains where it's a chemical imbalance and you just can't. Because there are people out there that are wealthy who you look and you say they have everything, but they're never happy. And eventually they do something horrible. And there are people out there who don't have anything in their lives. They just get on with their lives and they love what they do. But this right here, this is, there's a lot that went on to it. And I don't think the restorative justice side of things, like he was black, so they didn't discipline him. I don't think it was that. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that, you usually see those things in schools where there is a disparity between, white kids and black kids. And and this is truly a group that's a minority. I don't think it was that. This is a very diverse school, so you weren't seeing that. It was just a lot of other things that went into it. Trump on his way to California, thinking about killing FEMA. Oh, Chad. We talked about this last hour, and it was very interesting because some people aren't quite sure about whether or not to get rid of FEMA. And I'm not saying you get rid of FEMA altogether, because I think FEMA has a place, and Trump's talking about it. And obviously there's a lot of issues in North Carolina. There's going to be a ton of issues in California. We saw what happened in Maui And by the way, Maui, I remind everybody, 3 houses have been built in 18 months. 3.
Yeah, but let's not forget, they each got $750.
Yeah. Well, at least you know what? It's funny when people go, all they're giving people in North Carolina is $750. That's all they're giving them in California. That's all they give them in Maui. It wasn't like they go, North Carolina, we're just going to give them $750. We'll give everybody else $1 million.
This entire situation is just a pristine example on why you never put your faith in government.
No. You don't. Look, you want your government to be awesome. You want your government to be just this great helper when you need it. Not the end-all to be-all. If it's desperate times, yes, that's great. What do we need our government for? Force border laws, right? And we're talking about the federal government. Because the government that we have here in Tennessee, that's the government that is going to have the most impact on your life day to day. Mayor Freddie and his giant train will have a bigger impact on people in Nashville than people realize. You start looking around going, these things matter. School boards, things like that, because you're in it. You can touch it. You feel it. You can see it every single day. The federal government's supposed to be kind of, they're out there. If is a big thing, they'll come. If not, they let you do your thing. That's what we want. That's the whole thing about states' rights. And Trump's talking about, let's just give the states the money in some cases. They know what's best for their people. And I think that's good. Yes, there's a place for FEMA. But when I look at that, it's not about making you whole. That $750 is supposed to get you through a couple days of hard times. And then, but again, let's throw some inflation in there, people. But they should be there when stuff goes sideways and it's infrastructure that needs to be repaired ASAP, not your house. That should be between you and your insurance company. And if need be, and it's a one-off thing, yes, I can understand that. If we're all sitting here today and we have a tsunami that comes through Nashville, we don't even know where it came from. That's the call that's desperate measures. But so many of these things that we see are things that we put ourselves into that situation. If you build on a beach in California, there's a chance mudslides are going to get you. Earthquakes, right? So they build their houses. California has tons of earthquakes. You know what they don't have? Houses really collapsing anymore. Very rare. Florida has hurricanes. You know what they're going to have next year? Hurricanes. If you build your house on a beach, even away, understand you're living there, there's going to be a hurricane or two that's going to roll on through at some point in time. Build accordingly. And Florida did what Florida did in such a way because they understood it. They're building towards it. They're rebuilding things in ways to withstand certain things. Just like we talked about last hour with, was it Tom Hanks that built that house? Jennifer Aniston? They built houses specifically to withstand fires. But federal government should be there very rarely.
And something else, this thing that Jennifer Aniston called a private fire department to come up and help save her house. That was paid for her out of her pocket. No tax dollars were spent on that. She spent her money to protect her own house, and she's getting crap for that somehow.
Because she's wealthy.
Right, but because she chose to use a private resource versus going to the government and going, hey, you need to prioritize me over here. She spent her own money to make it happen, and she didn't go to a taxpayer and go, hey, you guys need to pitch in to save my house.
Yeah. I mean, and the wealth side of it, that's a jealousy thing. People are jealous because she was able to, A, she's got a house that's worth gazillion dollars. B,
$21 million.
She's dating Barack Obama, allegedly. But on top of that, she built her house in a way where she's in an area where she knows these things happen. So her and it was Tom Hanks retrofitted their house in such a way, built it to withstand some of this stuff. And it did. And then some people spent money. If you have it, you would too. So I don't blame them for that. Good for them. Although I said earlier, just like Chris Pratt, his house was saved. I wouldn't want to be the only person on the street that every day I walked out for the next umpteen years, there is nobody on my street. They're all gone. That would just be eerie. I would be like, this is uncomfortable. And it's not like there was, you had all this land. There's no neighbors anymore. It's weird. All right, coming up. A lot of stuff. I'm going to play you a song that is arguably the best, worst song of all time. Yeah, you're going to love it. And then we're going to get to DEI in a little bit and Spirit Airways, kids. Spirit Airways. Woo-wee. That's right. The trailer park in the sky is making some changes. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. This weekend is the real big playoff games. AFC, NFC. You've got the amazing Kansas City Chiefs. You've got the team that I think is going to win, Buffalo Bills. Then on the other side, you've got who I think is going to be the champions of it all, Philadelphia taking on Washington. Now, Prize Picks wants to help you make a little bit of something. You can win 1,000 times your money. Download the app now. Use my code Chad. You get a $50 bonus the minute you play your first lineup. Now, what is a lineup? This isn't picking teams. This is picking situations. Take Patrick Mahomes. Do you think he's going to throw for over 1.5 touchdowns? So that you think he's going to throw above that? If you do, boom, there's one part of your lineup. Set the other part. Do you think that Josh Allen will throw for over 225 yards, above or below? Boom, pick that. Now you've set your lineup. Simple and easy. You can get up 1,000 times your money. They've got tons of incredible offers and promos all the time. But right now, download the Prize Pick app. Use my code Chad. The minute you play your first $5, they give you $50 instantly. Prize Picks. Go right now. Run your game.
All right, drivers, look like things are improving on 24 eastbound near Haywood Lane, where they had a crash earlier blocking the left two lanes. Looks like they've got that on the shoulder now, so now your delay is only 18 minutes. Looks like westbound 24 there is back up to speed. Still got a crash blocking the right shoulder, 65 southbound at I-24 downtown. We'll let you hear what a group of community activists and students are saying about this week's shooting at Antioch High School coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We're a very inclusive show. We make fun of everybody, which I love. This is a lady who apparently is a singer. She's got a new song promoting equity. You guys ready to hear this? You ready?
Absolutely.
All right, take a deep breath, kids. Here we go.
This is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Black and indigenous people of color. Black and indigenous people of color. Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and queer. Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and queer. Asian American Pacific Islander. Asian American Pacific Islander. Latino, Hispanic, Romani, and Creole. Latino, Hispanic, Romani, and Creole. We all have a place in this world. We all have a place in this world.
All right.
Fantastic.
Is this from Fred Armisen in Portlandia?
No, but it seems like it should be. If you've not seen her, it is spectacular. There's also another lady that does interpretive dance that goes on for like 10 minutes.
Oh, goodness.
And it's all about how Trump, Elon Musk, and J.D. Vance or somebody have father issues. And it's just everything. But this lady was spectacular. My favorite thing was she hit us with the Creole and the Romani.
Yeah. Goodness.
That's what I love. I'm like, oh, you know what? We don't talk enough about the gypsies. Not enough gypsy talk on the station. Oh, gays and stuff and what and not.
Man.
Oh, my Lord.
You know what? That is straight out of Portlandia.
It is.
That's like I was listening to a Portlandia episode, which I love that show. It cracks me up.
That show is so great. It is so, if you guys have never seen it. Again, it's sarcasm.
Yes.
It's satirical in so many ways. It is awesome. Because Fred Armisen is brilliant.
Yes, he
like
is.
That. A lot of people are just chiming in about, like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God. Just play the hit. Casey Kasem. Hey, everybody. Casey Kasem. This is Casey Kasem, and here's your countdown. Number 1 with a bullet. You wish.
Into a dead dog.
You can't do a slow song into an up song. Tell
And
somebody.
you're doing a death dedication.
Somebody tell my weird wife to give my body back to my kids. Remember that when she sold?
Yeah.
She sold, if you guys don't know Casey Kasem, Scooby-Doo, she sold it to some little town in somewhere as like a tourist attraction so people could come see the place where Casey's been laid to rest. That is insane. That right there, though, God, that song was fantastic. It's beautiful. And if you just, and I always tell everybody this, as bad and cringeworthy as some of this stuff is, if you ever see stuff like this, sure, listen to it, laugh, go to the comment section and see people in writing sometimes are brilliant and mean.
Yes.
They're the writers of their own press releases.
They are the writers of their own press releases. Coming up, kids, we're not done there. A little DEI talk. Target's going one way. Costco, which way are you going? We'll talk about that, bunch of other stuff. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Well, a group of community activists and students in Nashville demanding action from state lawmakers after the Antioch High School shooting.
To the elected officials, sending thoughts and prayers, thank you. Me too. And I pray that when you get to that intimate part of prayer, the part where God speaks back to you, you have the courage to hear and to obey.
That is Sakayla Colbert with the advocacy group Awake. Meanwhile, there's a call for Metro Nashville Public Schools Director Dr. Adrian Battle to step down in the wake of the Antioch High School shooting. Former MNPS board member Fran Bush telling WTN's Nashville's Morning News Dr. Battle should have used COVID relief funds to purchase metal detectors, but Bush says Dr. Battle believed that they produce what Battle called unintended consequences. You can hear the entire conversation with Fran Bush on the Dan Mandis podcast. Target making a change in the footsteps of Meta, Walmart, and McDonald's and others. Here's Chuck Severson.
After President Trump's executive order scrapping DEI initiatives, the Target chain announcing an end to its 3-year DEI program, also ending, it says as planned, a racial equity action and change program, and stopping diversity-focused surveys. But its statement also says it's focused on growth with a commitment to inclusion for employees, customers, and communities, with references using the words all and everyone.
President Trump and the First Lady on their way to California to visit with victims of the devastating wildfires. They'll be coming from North Carolina, where they first visited with Hurricane Helene victims this morning. Trump said he's going to be signing an executive order to overhaul or get rid of FEMA. And that's not all.
Do you expect to ask Congress for additional aid for North Carolina and California?
It will be direct. In other words, the aid will go through us. So rather than going through FEMA, it will go through us. And I think maybe this is a good place to start. Because, and in all fairness to the governor, in all fairness to everybody else, FEMA was not on the ball.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
My Pillow right now is deep discounts on all kinds of stuff. The classic My Pillow, $14.88 for you kids out there. On top of that, they've got the new My Pillow quilts and the My Pillow waffle blanket. It is awesome. It keeps you warm, so soft, so cool. And the My Pillow quilt, hey, maybe your room is fluffy and white, and I'd like a white one of those. Maybe you got some red in there. You'd like red. They've got that. They got patterns, all kinds of stuff. They've got the moccasins. They got the My Slippers. They got all the stuff made in the United States of America with the best quality you can find. 6-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Now is a chance. Take advantage of all this stuff and so much more. Check it all out at mypillow.com/Benson. It's mypillow.com/Benson, BENSON, for everything from the My Pillow, classic My Pillow at $14.88 to the My Pillow quilt, to the My Pillow dog blankets. You name it. They got everything you can think of. Do it now. mypillow.com/Benson. A lot of you chiming in about that song. You're like, I can't get enough of that, Chad. I know we all can't.
You have to trust me. I've been in the music business a lot of years. That's a smash.
That is a smash. Number one with a bullet.
We need to go right back to playing that again.
Right, it was so bad. Yeah, the video's great, too, because she's, like, closing her eyes. She's patting her chest. And the whole time, I'm waiting for, like, a bear to come in and take her out. Snatch.
That would have been brilliant. Like the guy up in Alaska that got eaten.
Treadway.
Oh, Timothy Treadway.
Yeah. No longer with us because he's an idiot.
Treadwell.
Doesn't matter. He's not here.
No,
Somebody ate him.
He is not Mr. Bear.
Mr. Bear. Flying is, well, first of all, if you raise your hand if you've ever flown Spirit Airways. If you've ever said to yourself, I've got $14 and I need to get Fort Lauderdale. Spirit Airways is for you. Well, they're doing something, kids. And I know what you're thinking. What could they be doing? Are they actually going to take out the lawn chairs and put in real chairs? No. This is about what you're wearing.
Spirit Airlines is cracking down on anyone who's showing up to their flights scantily clad. If you're dressed in something that the airline deems to be inappropriate, you may be kicked off your flight. Spirit Airlines is taking off with an updated policy for passengers, and it's all about what you're wearing. A lot of times when you're going to fly, you just throw on whatever that you could find that's easy, right? Well, if you're flying Spirit, you want to make sure that you are covered up. They have changed their policy when it comes to what you can wear on the flight. So if you want to wear a crop top, that is not going to fly anymore. Got to make sure that you're covered up and looking appropriate according to their new policy.
Now, I just want to point this out. I don't know if they've ever met anybody that flies Spirit Airways, right? But a crop top. Isn't our pilot wearing a crop top? Next thing you guys are going to say is I can't smoke on here.
Well, not cigarettes.
It is incredible what they're doing. So it's not just, right, the hoochie mamas that roll in there, the guys that are just a hot mess wearing offensive T-shirts. No. It's across the board. If you've got tattoos that may be offensive, off you go.
The airline updated its contract for carriage, stating passengers won't be allowed to board or could get kicked off of their flights if they're wearing see-through clothing, have exposed breasts, buttocks, or other private parts.
See, no other airline has to go, all right, here's the deal. You guys can't show your wiener on the plane anymore.
And cover your buttocks, please.
Oh, my God. This is so spectacular.
Buttocks.
She said buttocks.
I love it.
If there's lewd, obscene, or offensive clothing or tattoos, or if the passengers show up barefoot.
This is such...
What if you're going through TSA security, you forget your shoes, and you get to the Spirit Airlines?
They know who they're talking to.
I'm getting ready to say, man, that rules out people from Monroe, Louisiana.
What do you mean I had to bring shoes?
We spoke to some Spirit flyers
I bet this is going to be great.
about the company's decision.
There's just too many rules. Some people just trying to get to where they need to get to. I feel like you shouldn't put no rules on how people should wear their clothes flying to the next destination.
That's bad because you should wear whatever you want. Even if you're not okay with that, you don't have a say in what people wear.
Spirit doesn't have a first class, does it?
It's all first class, baby.
It's all first class.
I flew Spirit 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Because you had to.
It was the only flight that flew directly into...
Because you had to.
Because we had to. There was no other reason. It flew directly into, I forgot, we went to somewhere in Missouri. One of my stations, we're going on one of the visits.
Columbia.
No. God, I'm trying to think where it was.
Springfield.
Yes. So I got on there. First of all, the plane's great when it still has the ashtrays.
Absolutely, dude.
For those of you who guys...
That's a classic.
For those of you who don't know, back in the day, they would ask you, do you want smoking or non-smoking? Yeah. I'm in a tube. We're all smoking.
You're in a tube with recirculated air.
Exactly. Sir, you'll need to go to the smoking section.
Oh, you mean the place that's getting all the air sucked out and brought up here?
It was awesome, though. I sat down and I thought to myself, it was like sitting in those lawn chairs that you get from the store for $2 that you just fold them and you sit there. It was, I thought, I don't even think it gets to altitude. It was, and everybody on there was exactly like you would think you'd be in Spirit Airlines. They wanted the cheapest ticket they could get. I think somebody had a baby on the plane. It was just so spectacular. It was solid. So if you're thinking about flying Spirit Airway, it's top hat and tails now.
I do like those big yellow planes.
I do.
No long ties. Got to be a bow.
Got to be a bow, and no more bringing your possum that's going to help you get through the flight.
Well, and
what about my emotional support cobra?
What about a buttocks?
No buttocks. No.
At least not an uncovered one.
No more showing your privates. What if the pilot just did it?
That's okay. He's got a federal license.
That's right. And he's got 4 He can't drive because he's got like 6 DUIs. The plane's got one of those breathalyzer things on it before you can take off. Oh, God, it's great. That's what I love about Spirit, guys. I mean, it's cheap and it's fun. So you never know what's going to happen. You may actually go on there, and you know what? You may get served. We move on. Target's moving away from DEI.
After President Trump's executive order scrapping DEI initiatives, the Target chain announcing an end to its 3-year DEI program, also ending, it says as planned, a racial equity action and change program, and stopping diversity-focused surveys. But its statement also says it's focused on growth with a commitment to inclusion for employees, customers, and communities, with references using the words all and everyone.
Blah, 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 blah. The usual baloney. So people are moving away from it. And look, one of the things they're talking about is like, how do we give small businesses a chance and stuff like that? I look at that, I said, that's fine. That's great. It's the other wacky stuff that so many of these companies, because the problem is the spirit of what you're trying to do something ends up being ruined by activists who take it over and make it only about those things. And that's insane. Now, Costco is going the exact opposite way. When everybody else is getting away from it, Costco saying, yeah, we're Costco. We'll do when we want, whatever we want, because we have a $1.50 hot dog.
More than 98% of Costco shareholders rejected a proposal from a conservative group to evaluate and consider pulling back its efforts toward diversity, equity, and inclusion, also known as DEI. It follows Costco's board of directors unanimously voting to urge shareholders to reject the motion. As large companies like Walmart, McDonald's, and Meta have pulled back or eliminated their diversity programs, Costco has pushed forward on DEI. While the motion suggested DEI initiatives pose business risks, the Costco board disagreed. We believe that these efforts enhance our capacity to attract and retain employees who will help our business succeed, the board said in its advisory to vote against the proposal.
Costco can do whatever Costco wants because it's Costco. And how many of you are going to abandon Costco? I'm not. $1.50 hot dog. That damn thing is so good, right? Like they're going to do.
And it tastes even better at $1.50.
Yeah, it does. Is it worth 10? No. Is it worth $1.50? A lot of things are worth. A Spirit airline flight is worth $1.50. But they're moving away from it. And Robbie Starbucks saying, hey, we're going to come out and we're going to come after them. This year is kind of the plan. But it's Costco. And they treat their employees pretty good. I've got a couple friends who work for them. They're my friends' wives, and they love it there. They're treated amazingly well, and it's Costco. There's like some things where people try to cancel certain stuff, and it doesn't work. Case in point, a couple liberals went after In-N-Out Burger, which is coming out here soon, and they went after him because they are pro-life. And the person who owns it's Christian. If you've never been to an In-N-Out Burger, many of you haven't, you look underneath, there's always a Bible verse underneath your cup. That's who the lady is that runs the thing. And the family was always that way. And some people went after them. And you know what happened? Nothing. You want to know why? Because even the politicians who are liberal are like, this is In-N-Out. You're stupid. It's the same thing here with Costco. It is. And a lot of this stuff goes along with the stuff we talked about the other day with the woke, DSG, whatever it is. It's not real. It's all about checking a box and being able to go to advocacy organizations. So if you're an advocacy organization and your goal, like the LGBTQ plus, was never all of those things. It was the lesbians and the gays. And then it started adding to it. And so my producer is gay. And he said, all we want.
I am not.
No, not that. My national show. Well, maybe Bell. I don't know. I mean, look, dude, what do you do? Not Bell, but my producer for my national show. He's gay. And he's been with me forever. He is my ride or die. I love him to death. And he and I, we always talk about stuff like this. I mean, this is a guy that, like, back in the day, Stonewall, like, you were in the closet because you were going to get beat up kind of thing. He said all we wanted was equality and some protections. You couldn't fire somebody because they were gay, that kind of stuff. The minute they got those, the people that run the advocacy organizations should have said, well, we're done, let's close up shop. But you're not, because it's a business. Nobody wants to lose their job, so they all move on to something else. They create new things. And for lip service, for a lot of stuff, people check box. It's like DEI. I keep telling you guys, it's a business. It's not real. It's not real. It's not solving problems. In many cases, it's making more problems, and people understand that. But for certain companies, right, they're just at that point where it's like people go, they're not getting rid of it, but you know what? I'm not going to go to Costco. Oh, yeah, I can see that. And for some people, they'll say, well, I'm never going to Costco if they're going to be DEI. That's fine. But for the most part, do I think this is going to hurt Costco? And I want to see, because I know Robbie's going to go after him. And that's one of the things they talked about. He said that this year, this is going to be a focus, in 2025 to dismantle this. And I'm glad we're dismantling it. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't take like the spirit of what it was and say, all right, how do we help black entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, whatever it is, how do we get those people to get some opportunities? That's great. But not because they're that, but because they warrant it. They can do it. They just maybe haven't had the chance. As opposed to the only reason you're getting this chance is because of this. That is silly. We just got somebody actually who texted us, sent us a message, said, I thought this was funny. Says, don't use my name. I said, don't worry, we won't. Dear all, the message, it's about the Marines, informs all employees that the following president's executive orders on ending certain DEIA programs, all related offices and contracts are closed or terminated civilian workforce management. So it's happening, which is good. And it doesn't mean people of color and everybody else isn't going to get a chance. Now it means what it is. It's merit-based. That's great. But the chances that people are going to get, not only based on merit, but it's going to be better for everybody because people aren't going to be put in positions that maybe they shouldn't be in and fail, which is not good. But we still have to make sure that people have opportunities and shots and leave that to the private workforce. And the more that you see stuff like this, just remember, it's all a business. DEI and all that stuff, it's all a business. It's not about black, white, gay, straight. It's about green, period. Coming up, I think Matt's here. Did he park his truck? I know he's on his way.
He's feeding the orangutan.
He'll be in here in a little bit. We'll wrap it up and then turn it on over to Matt. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. It's been a fun show today. This wacky Friday. Joining us now.
Has it been?
It is. We had a good time.
Well, good. I'm glad.
You know what? We talked about a lot of stuff today. We're very diverse.
Yeah, we were serenaded.
Yes, we were, by the world's worst singer.
Oh, really?
It is something that'll make your eyes cry.
Well, I don't want to hear that.
It'll make your ears bleed, your eyes will come out of your skull.
Was it Weaver?
It was, you know what? I would rather hear Weaver than this. And in fact, you know what? I think he needs to hear it.
Weaver smashing his foot.
So it is, it's one of those things where you listen and you think, good God, how can anybody have this kind of dulcet tones?
Black and indigenous people of color. Black and indigenous people of color.
It's got a hook.
Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender,
all of those.
and queer.
Total.
Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and queer.
I'm so glad we can say queer again.
Asian American,
Are you guys?
Pacific Islander.
Oh, yeah.
Asian American,
Here comes my favorite one right here.
Pacific Islander, Latino, Hispanic, Romani, and Creole.
Romani and Creole.
Latino, Hispanic.
We don't talk enough about gypsies.
Romani and Creole. We all
Is she saying Creole?
have a place in this world.
Like Coonasses? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, it's Creole.
Creole?
We all
Oh,
have a place.
Yikes. She just keeps going, huh? She just keeps going. I'm trying to set up a segment, but I can't get any liberals to do it. But I'm trying to set up a segment where I have a weekly visit with a liberal.
Yeah.
And there's a song called "Love Me, I'm a Liberal." I think it's Mojo. Is it Mojo Nixon that did it? Is that what it is? I had you pull it one time, Bell. Is it "Love Me, love me, love me"?
I'm about 97% sure that it was Mojo Nixon.
I think it's Mojo Nixon. Fantastic. That'd be my thing song for that.
You got a theme
or
song.
we could do that. Or we could do that.
It's fantastic. You should get Harry Sisson on. He'd come on.
I have every dollar. I think I've got maybe $100 in cash in my pocket. I'll bet you every amount of money I have in my pocket that the woman that was singing that has hairy armpits.
It's possible. It's possible. It's hard to tell because she was in the middle of the woods and it was freezing and she was covered up in a lot of clothes. But it feels like somebody, because of the patriarchy, she doesn't shave her legs.
That's right. And she uses crystals to rub it on her armpits to make them.
Of course.
stinkless.
Absolutely. As anybody does.
I mean, as we do.
As she just uses pine cones.
That's right. That's right. Because Mother Earth tells her to. She is awesome. She's spectacular.
We got to save that, Brother Chad.
Oh,
you
I'd
got to
save
that.
She is beautiful. And she's gorgeous. She looks so
Is she really?
I bet she
No,
does.
she's
I
not.
bet she looks just awesome.
If we were the two people on Earth, they're like, we need to repopulate him. It ends here.
Think we need to reconsider.
Yeah. So, so yes. What are you going to talk about today? We've talked about a lot of fun stuff.
We'll have some fun as well. We've got our Friday segment in the 4 o'clock hour. We will speak to. I've been begging for someone who's against this school education deal, and I finally found someone. I think we'll confirm at 6 o'clock today because Representative Jody Barrett's going to stop by, and he has concerns representing the Dixon community. We'll do that. We'll talk, updates on Antioch, and we'll maybe have a good time. Pete Hegseth is going to get confirmed. No, sadly no.
It's great that Pete's confirmed.
But we're going to go down. We got a lot more to go. I mean, this is only our number 3, right?
Yeah.
Only our 3rd confirmation. Got John Ratcliffe as CIA. Got Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. Number 3 is Defense. Let's move this along, will you?
Well, next week, so Thursday, right? It's Tulsi, and you're going to get RFK Jr.
That's going to be entertaining.
Those are going to be good.
And then there's one other one, and the Pam Bondi. I think they're going to have their vote next week.
The over-under. I mean, what's the over-under on number of confirmations that do not get through?
I think
is it 1?
Yeah, I think right. I have a feeling Tulsi's the one that's probably
Gates doesn't count.
Yeah, no.
I
think Tulsi is on the shakiest ground right now.
Maybe so. But I still believe that Kennedy's going to get some Republican pushback. We'll see, but
we'll find out.
Who knows?
His name is Matt Murphy. He drives a truck. He's here straight ahead. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a good one. We'll see you Monday, as always. Later, kids.